Well, welcome to Living Well on what will forever be known as Amy Grant Thursday. I am Meg Marshall with Chief Meteorologist Marcus Bailey.
That's right.
Now, Marcus, you and I were both children of the 80s and 90s,
Yep.
so I'm sure you're familiar with our special guest work that's
Yeah.
coming
Oh,
on.
yeah. Going to and from school all the time. It was a cassette then.
Right,
But
right.
All the time, my mom had Amy Grant playing in our car. All the time.
I have to admit, I haven't told our guest yet this today, but I was involved in a talent show in second grade where we did a dance to Baby Baby.
There you
and
go.
we may or may not have worn tie-dye outfits. It was really spectacular. So
Can we recreate that?
we don't have that video. I'm really upset
Darn.
about that. It's somehow mysteriously disappeared forever. But we'll have much more in just a few moments when we sit down with Amy Grant to find out what she's doing here in the River City and what brought her all the way to Central Illinois. But before we get to the rest of today's fun, let's check in with WMBD. A 25-year veteran of the music business, Amy Grant literally grew up performing in front of an audience. She was signed to her first record label just before her 16th birthday. Now Amy is taking a break from her busy touring schedule to join us here in Studio 31 today. Amy, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. We're honored to welcome you to the River City.
Thank you.
So I think first and foremost, people sitting at home today are probably wondering, what's Amy doing here in Peoria?
Well, life connects people in all kinds of crazy ways. But a couple of years ago, I came here on a tour with Michael W. Smith. We hadn't toured together in 20 years. And we'd rolled off the bus. We travel at night. You're driving. I'm not driving. I'm sleeping in a bunk. And I was having a bleary-eyed cup of coffee in a hotel here. And in walks Andy King. Andy King runs the Dream Center, and I had met Andy 20 years before in right outside of Nottingham, I believe, in England. I was doing a show there back in the early 90s, the days you guys were talking about.
Okay.
And he was just a teenager then, but we had actually exchanged a couple of letters.
Wow.
And he knew a musician in Michael's band. And so, you know, I'm like, morning, and he started telling me what they were doing with the Dream Center. And I was so inspired, and I said, if I could ever be a part of anything that you're doing. So we started brainstorming, and I love this town. It's such a generous town, and I have connections with St. Jude
Right.
Children's Research Hospital, and so we said, let's do this evening and celebrate Jim Maloof's birthday. I spent the day with him, and it was worth the whole trip. Was that lunch with Jim?
I bet.
He is a rascal.
He is definitely still plenty of fire left in him, for sure.
Yes. So tonight we're celebrating Jim's birthday and doing it at the Dream Center because it's a wonderful facility that's meeting so many needs of the community, and even more since last Saturday.
Right.
But a lot of people can know about a place, but they've never even been there. So we're trying to get people to really be inspired.
To come out and actually see firsthand what the Dream Center is
And
all
join
about.
us, yes. So.
Now, I know earlier this month that you were featured in People magazine talking about your experience with your father who has dementia. You mentioned as well that your mother had dementia as well before she passed away.
Right.
I think a lot of our audience can identify with that kind of reversal of roles with parent and child. What would you say to kind of inspire some of them?
Well, I was most inspired by a good friend of mine who had a conversation with me in the middle of my real frustration. You know, my parents led such amazing lives. They loved so many people and did so many great things. When I first started singing, most people would come up and say, your dad treated my mom, because my dad was in radiation oncology. So for years, all I heard was your father this, your father that. But a very dear friend of mine heard me just going through all the, I don't understand why this is happening, and she said, Amy, this is the last great lesson that your parents will teach you. And just looking at it that way, I went, well, hey, I'm going to stop whining and open my ears. And I have learned community is so important. Whether an aging person has dementia or not, just community, interacting, staying in touch with friends, being in a vibrant community. I mean, my father, even though he kind of talks conversation salad, you know, he wants to interact. And so we take him places, and you know, so community, friendship, that's the most important thing.
And to really cherish those moments that we have with them.
Absolutely.
Definitely. All right, well, Amy, thank you so much for being here for this first section. We'll have much more with you, though, coming up in just a few moments. We want people to stick around for that for sure. And we'll be right back with more Living Well.
is for, to help us through it. That's what love is for. Nothing else can do.
And we're joined once again by contemporary Christian music artist Amy Grant and Pastor Andy King of the Peoria Dream Center. Thank you both for being here today. We appreciate it. So, Andy, we heard a little bit about your connection to Amy and how it goes back many, many years to when you were a young lad in London.
Yeah.
So if you could tell us a little bit about what led you to reach out and connect with Amy about this particular fundraiser.
Yeah, Amy was in town just about a year or so ago, and with Michael W. Smith. A friend of mine was playing guitar for him, and I said, you've got to come and see the Dream Center and see what we're doing. And he said, well, come to the hotel. And when we got there, Amy was in the lobby having coffee, and I turned to my son and said, let's not go all groupie right now, and let's just relax.
Act
and,
cool.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And then Stu came over, the guitarist, and said, have you met Amy yet? And I said, no, a long time ago, but not recently. And so we went over, and she asked the question that was really loaded for me, which was, what do you do? And so I just started telling her about the Dream Center, and automatically there was a real connection with what we do at the Dream Center.
And so obviously we've had you here twice this year so far, Andy, with various pretty big named Christian music acts, but it doesn't get much bigger than Amy Grant to bring here. So how exciting is this for the Dream Center?
Personally, it's really, really cool. For the Dream Center, especially for people that are going to be there tonight, there won't be an event like this in Peoria for a long time again. So we are really, really excited about not just Amy being there, but also some of the folks that she's brought with her from Nashville as well. It's just going to be an amazing night, amazing night.
And Amy, I know you mentioned earlier, you've had a long-standing history of reaching out to different non-for-profit groups. You mentioned St. Jude, which obviously is very near and dear to our hearts here in Peoria. You also worked with Athena Water Company on a special breast cancer campaign. So what is it that really makes you want to reach out and help these different community relation type aspects?
Well, I've always experienced that music brings people together, and many times I get involved because with any cause, because they are saying, gee, we need some pivotal point that will bring people together. And my phone will ring, or I'll get a letter, would you sing at this event, would you? And that's the easiest thing in the world to do. And if I'm free, I try. So my husband's sister had breast cancer. And a friend of mine right now is going through breast cancer. And then that was, my father spent his entire career treating people with cancer, but he would always say, someone lives with cancer and you can live a long time with cancer. So, but tonight is special because there's so many relationships that we share with each other. Mm-hmm. So rather than find a big location, Andy and I talked many times on the phone saying, let's create a night that makes us all recognize that we're family. And so I brought my oldest daughter, who's an incredible songwriter, great singer.
She actually did a duet with you on your last album,
Yeah,
right?
oh, well, yeah, that's actually the next to the youngest.
The next to youngest, okay.
Yes,
okay.
so they're all getting older. How does that happen? We're aging. But, and some other great songwriters, and tonight we're just gonna act like we're in the living room, just like this, and go around the circle, tell stories behind the songs, because really our lives are all stories. And the question I always ask myself is, am I living a good story? Am I living a good story? And the way you live a good story is to get involved with things that matter. And so tonight we're going to do a lot of storytelling and
Laughing.
a lot of laughing.
Because
Yes.
Jim will be there.
I was going to
So.
say, yes,
There's
Jim
no
will
telling where this
there'll be
night's
lots of
going to go.
laughing.
Yeah.
Really quickly, are there still tickets available tonight, Andy?
There are, but like I say, we've only got a small venue. We didn't want to have a huge arena. We wanted that intimate feel. So there are some available, so people can come to the Dream Center at 6. It's $200 a ticket, and we'll be more than happy to take the money off them.
All right. Well, we appreciate you both being here once again. Amy, we're going to ask you to stick around. We have a few fun questions for you at the end of our
good.
show, so we'll see how that turns out. We'll be back with more right after this. Now Now, we couldn't let Amy leave without having a little bit of fun, so we
Right.
put together a couple questions, some little known fun facts about Amy Grant. So I'm going to go first, and
Yes.
then I'll let you have the very important question you have for her. So Amy, very quickly, best vacation you've ever taken?
Staying home.
Staying home is your
Because
favorite
I
vacation.
travel
Yeah.
all the time.
Okay, that's a
Yeah.
pretty good answer.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Marcus?
All right, guy question. Who's your favorite football team?
Oh, well, Tennessee Titans.
Oh, there you go.
Okay,
to,
I
yeah.
heard you were a Bears fan somewhere out
You
there.
know what? I have been to several Bears games.
Oh,
I was
see,
gonna say
you're in
you-
Bears
Yeah.
country.
Yeah,
Yes.
down here. And then last question, if you were not a singer, what would you be doing?
I don't know if I'm good at anything else. I love to cook. It'd be
Okay.
fun to own a restaurant. I mean, I know it's probably it's not a dream job. It's
Right.
a lot of hard work.
Sure.
But I just think people gathered around food is always good.
Well, next time, if you ever want to come back, we have our kitchen
Yeah,
here.
there you go.
We'd love to have you cook and live in love with us.
It's outfitted pretty well.
Share some of your recipes
Okay.
next time.
Deal.
Amy Grant, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you,
here.
yeah.
It was an
Thank
absolute
you.
pleasure. We wish you the best of luck tonight with your performance, and
Thank you.
we hope you enjoy your stay here in the River City. Coming up tomorrow on Living Well, Chef Marcus here to help you plan.